Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me, because today we are doing the mid-year book freakout tag slash mid-year check-in. I do take some of the questions from this tag, but I also kind of mix and match with my own and some stats that I just find interesting. So yeah, we got a lot of yapping to do in this video, so let's go ahead and hop right into it. First off, let's start with the number of books that I have read to date. I have read 51 books, which is about 57% on the way to my goal of 90 books. Now, last year I did read over 100 books, but I just didn't want to put that pressure on myself because I just didn't know. So I settled with a safe 90, but it looks like we are on track to maybe hit 100 again this year, and that's really exciting. Compared to 2024, at this point, I had read 40 books. So that's interesting. As far as the average rating goes, I currently sit at a 3.72 with the 50 books that I've read this year. And compared to last year, I was sitting at a 3.75. So it's roughly the same. I will say that I just feel like I have run into some books that just weren't all that great this year. And I really am just wanting to find more books that I love and more books that I'm obsessed with. So that is my hope going forward for the rest of the year. But all we can do is hope. That's all we can do. So in 2024, at this point, I had only 4 5-star reads. And that's shocking. That's kind of shocking, and that's kind of sad. But this year we are looking much better. Let's do a quick run through of the 5 stars that I have this year. I have like 2 rereads, so I'm not going to talk about those. I just want to talk about books that have newly read in 2025. So my 5 stars so far have been The Fifth Season, Fear the Flames, When a Wolf Loves the Moon, Cursebound, and The First Family. So that's only 5. That's only 5. So that's not great either. I'm hoping and praying that the 5 stars pick up for the rest of the year, because look, I'm not even what I would consider a harsh rater, but I've had a lot of 4.5s. I've had so many 4.5s, but I'm just not getting that 5-star feeling from a lot of books this year, and it's stressing me out a little bit. Like, it's not that serious, but it's also stressing me out. I just want to love what I am picking up. That's it, that's all. Moving on, I set a 2025 priority TBR, and I will make sure to link that video at the end of this one so you can check that out if you want. But what I will say, it ended up being 24 books, and out of the 24, it doesn't look like I'm doing that great. Okay. I've only read 8 of the 24 books on this list. So I'm running behind, and I'm going to have to pick up the pace, because I don't necessarily have the goal to finish this list, but I want to make my way through most of them. And yeah, that hasn't happened yet. So I'm definitely going to try to be more intentional about making sure that I am reading these books and getting through as many of them as my mood allows. Moving on to what I would consider my best books of the year so far. I actually want to start with a book that I gave 4.5 stars, but the more that I think about it, I feel like it might actually be a 5-star read for me. And that book is Mickey Chamber Shakes It Up. It's like every loud car just wants to pass through right now. That's fun. Mickey Chamber Shakes It Up by Cherish Reed. And I ate this book up. I loved Mickey. I loved Diego. I loved their relationship. I thought the chronic illness rip in this book was really great. And it was just an overall fun time. And I find myself thinking about this book all the time. And yeah, it's definitely a favorite for me for this year. Also, I have been screaming and shouting about this series for all year, so it probably won't be any surprise that one of my best books is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This book in this series just did something that was very unique and unlike anything I'd ever read before and probably ever will read. And I just loved the characters so much and felt so much for them and thought that this was a really great story. And I'm glad that I stopped being intimidated by this and actually decided to pick it up because, she did what she needed to do. And also, I feel like there are several books that could fit into a lot of these categories, but I'm trying to keep the repetition to a minimum. So that is why things are organized the way that they are. I just wanted to be able to talk about as many books as possible. So yeah, that's what's going on. And the last book that I'm going to put into this category is going to be Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. Now I had heard great things about this book back when it was indie published and when it also got traditionally published, but I was kind of skeptical and didn't know. So I got it from the library, and immediately once I found out that the paperback was coming out, I had to get her. Do you see all of these tabs? Like, girl, I ate this up. I was giggling and having the best time with this book. It was a complete shock to me, but I love my girl Elowen and what's his name, Caden. Them, they just they were fun to me, and I had fun reading this, and I cannot wait to get my hands on the sequel. But this is definitely top tier for me. Top tier. Next up, I want to talk about my best sequel of the year, and I have two. And I don't feel like this first one is going to be a surprise at all because I talk about this series at any chance that I get because I just love it so much. It's like one of my all-time favorites. So the first book is going to be Cursebound by Sarah L. Arifi. This is the second book in the Faybound trilogy, and y'all know how I feel about the Faybound series, okay? And Cursebound really just opened the world up to me. We got to be in the POV of some of the characters that we met in the first book who are now my favorite characters, and just seeing how everything is coming together and how the story and the world and all the things are just making sense. And I just love the relationships that we got to see in this one as well. It gave, okay? It gave, and I absolutely freaking love this book. This second book is a very recent read, but one that I completely just devoured and love so much. And I've been talking about this series since I started reading it too. And that book is When a Wolf Loves the Moon by Granger. This is the third book in the Drew Collins series, and y'all know how much I love Drew Collins, okay? And I feel like every book just keeps getting better, but this one really just like made me love Maggie and Namir so much. Like the way I love them down and the way that I just am obsessed with anything that Granger is putting out in this series. And I'm reading these massively chunky books in like 24 hours. If you haven't read The Secret Life of Maggie Gray, which is the first book in this series, then you are missing out and you need to pick it up. Some new releases that I need to read. Now, this list goes on forever, but two that I am really looking forward to reading. Okay, so the first one is The Rewrite by Lizzie Damilola Blackburn, and this is coming out in August. It's an lovers to enemies to lovers rom-com, and we have two exes who are faced with a deadline, and it features like bookish people, and it's got some mess going on. And yeah, I'm really excited to read that. And also Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tooley. This is about rival engineers who are going away on a tropical company retreat, and it's like a rom-com situation as well. And this looks really good, and I am excited to get to both of these releases. Next question is my most anticipated for the second half of the year. And look, we got a list. We have a list, okay? Because first off, we have Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola. This is the sequel that nobody knew that they needed. It's the follow-up to Honey and Spice, which features one of my favorite couples of all time, Kiki and Kai. And I am not a fan of second chance romances, but if it's one couple that I want to get it together and have their second chance, it's going to be Kiki and Kai. And I'm really excited about that. We have Our Vicious Oaths by Nia Davenport, same person. This is a romantasy that features a shadow daddy and it's a black romance. I think it's Faye or something like that. Either way, this just looks like it's up my alley and I need it absolutely like ASAP. We have Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis. This is like if Bonnie Bennett got a storyline that wasn't trauma. Need that today. We have Accomplice to the Villain. I don't know if this is the last book or not, but it's third book in the Assistant to the Villain series, and that's one of my favorite series. And I need this book as well because Evie and the villain are just so cute. And last but certainly not least is Eternal Ruin. This is the sequel to Immortal Dark, and the way that I loved Immortal Dark last year and the way that that ended, I need Eternal Ruin because I need to know what's gonna happen. Also, this book is beautiful, beautiful. Like they're gonna look so good together on my shelves. I can't wait. Can't wait. And then we're gonna go from all of that excitement to the downer question, which is what has been my biggest disappointments of the year. And what was sad was I had to narrow this list down because I had so many, and that just does not sit right with my spirit, okay? It does not. So my first disappointment of the year is none other than Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is the sequel to Gideon the Ninth, and baby, when I tell you I struggled through this book, this was not fun for me to read at all. And I really liked Gideon the Ninth, but then I realized I liked Gideon the Ninth because of Gideon. And following Harrow was just not, it wasn't a good time. And I felt like Tamsin Muir made this book confusing just to make it confusing. Like you didn't have to tell the story the way that you did. And yeah, I just felt some type of way about that. This was like a 2-star, maybe even me being generous. And if I hadn't already owned Nona the Ninth, this probably would have been a DNF. But yeah, we're just gonna act like Harrow never happened because this was no. And then we have a very recent disappointment, and that is Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright. Y'all, this was pitched to me as polyamorous vampires. It's like a romantic situation, and it didn't give. It did not. I felt like we took way too long to set up. There was like a mystery going on, and the way that the author tried to throw us off with a red herring that absolutely made no sense. Like it was very obvious that it was a red herring. Like that, I wasn't a fan of that. I just wish that we got more from this. I feel like everything was like skimming the surface, and we got a lot of setup that didn't. I don't feel like that it added to the story. So like by the time we got to stuff happening, I just didn't even really care. And I wish that we actually got to see the characters like all together. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody together. But anyway, yeah. And then the last one for this category is going to be Mutual Interest, a very recent read as well, by Olivia Wolfgang Smith. And this was supposed to be like a queer historical romance with a lavender marriage, and I feel like we were doing pretty good for the first third, and then once we got into like the marriage and then building this company together, I felt like what are we doing? I just what are we doing? And it made me like not really care for two of the main characters. And then the ending, it's one of the worst endings I have ever read, unfortunately, and I just did not like that at all. At all. This had the potential, but honestly, if I'm being honest, it felt like a lavender marriage perspective written by a man. And if you know what that means, then you know what I'm saying. And if you don't, maybe you don't need to know. On the flip side of that, let's flip this and make it happy. Let's talk about some books that surprised me and that I wasn't prepared for, but they gave what they needed to give. The first one is going to be the Love Lyric by Christina Forrest. I read an e-arc of this earlier this year, and I was expecting to like it because, it features a lot of music and also a single mom, and those things can be very hit or miss for me. But this aid, I absolutely loved everything about the Love Lyric. I ended up liking it even more than I liked the Neighbor Favor. And like this one did it for me, and I was very shocked by my reaction to this. I didn't find like the song lyrics or anything like corny. I actually was like eating it up and giggling. I had a time with the Love Lyric. Yeah, it shocked me. I didn't expect to get that a 4.5 star. 3 star at best, but like a 4.5. This is the type of thing that I love to happen, okay? Because yeah. So this next one is going to be Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. And hear me out. I am an Olivia Blake fan. I have liked the Atlas series. I read One for My Enemy and really enjoyed that as well, but it was the content of this one that I wasn't so sure about, because essentially in this we're following three siblings. Their father has just died and they're trying to figure out who is going to inherit his tech magic tech company or something like that, and it was described as succession, and I'd never seen that show. I never had any interest in watching that show, so I was a little worried that I wasn't going to really gel with this. But the way I ate this up, the way I loved this, it was also a 4.5 star. I loved that this was basically like a reality show, and we got to see like follow each of these siblings and see what their relationship was with their father. But everybody had so much drama going on. Like everybody was so messy, and I like that. I love a messy book, and this was that. We like had some morally great characters in here. Like I said, the tea was piping hot. These are for the people who went from gifted kids to clinically depressed adults. So if you relate, you will relate heavily to this. And yeah, I just ate this up. I really did. And I'm so happy that I liked it. I wanted to like it, but I just wasn't sure. But my girl Olivia know what she doing. Okay, moving into favorite relationships slash characters. Okay, so my favorite relationship is slash characters though. So this encompasses all the things. I'm going to say When a Wolf Loved the Moon by Granger, specifically because like I mentioned when I talked about this book earlier, that Maggie and the Mirror just gave everything for me in this particular installment in the series, and I loved everything about it. Like Namir is a werewolf, and I am not a werewolf girly. I am not checking for the wolves, okay? But Namir, Namir can make me a wolf girly, okay? That's all I'm gonna say about that, okay? So yeah, I really loved everything about the characters and specifically that relationship in this book. Oh, I got so many repeats. This is the category of repeats. It is. And just look the other way. I'm gonna run through it quick. We also have Cursebound, like I mentioned earlier. This explored the world more, and we got to see more of relationships that started in the first book and how those are building and becoming things. And we also got some new relationships in this. This has a type of relationship for everybody. So no matter what you like or what you identify as, you can find a relationship that shows that in this book. And that makes me really happy as well. But yeah, look. And the thing is, I can't even tell you who the relationship is between because that would be a spoiler for Faybound. So yeah. Yeah. And lastly, I'm going to talk about Fear the Flames again because, like I said, Elowen and Caden, they met with a knife to the throat scene, and then just their banter, and then I ate it up. Okay, I did, and they had me giggling, and I just enjoyed everything about them. I told you I was gonna make that quick because I had already talked about all of those before, so I ain't even want to hold you. I ain't want to hold you, friend. But now we are going to move into what's the next question? Let me see. Let's see. Okay, the most beautiful books that I have purchased this year, and this was hard. This was really, 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 really hard. but I narrowed it down. We just got a few, so let's talk about them. First off, this just came in the mail because this just came out, and the way I was gagged because this is gorgeous. Lord of the Tides. Look, like, let me give you a little close up. Like, look at this. This is gorgeous. Like, you see how pretty this is? Okay, but then friend, get into the bag. Look at that. Look at that. I you see it. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Also, like, this is the third book in the series, and have I even started reading it? No, but when I saw this cover, I was like, you're coming home with me. And coming home with me, she did. Look at All This Twisted Glory by Tahira Mafi. This is the third book in the This Woven Kingdom series, and look at her. Like, this is so pretty. Obsessed. Love it. The back doesn't have really, but yeah, she's gorgeous, and I couldn't not buy her. Last one for this category is called His Face is the Sun. And this is a YA fantasy that has been comped as like an Egyptian Game of Thrones YA version. But look at this. And then bam, you got the edges, the sprayed edges all the way around. Pretty, pretty, right? And then the back of this is pretty too. I'm a fan. She's a pretty book. Books to read before the end of the year. Like, obviously, all of my physical TBR, obviously, but here are a couple of books that I just like. It's gotta happen. Okay, the first one is going to be Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu. I think I'm saying that correctly. I have been thinking about reading and looking at Heavenly Bodies and having it on my TBR since it was indie published. And I think now is a good time to read it because the second book will be coming out at the end of this year. And I just heard nothing but good things about Heavenly Bodies. Like, I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about this series. This next couple of books is a part of a series that I just feel like I have been reading for entirely too long. Like, I don't know why I'm dragging this out, but 2025 is it. These books will be read and they are not following me to 2026. So the series I'm talking about is the All Souls series by Deborah Harkness, and I have the third book, which is the Book of Life, the fourth book, which is Time's Convert, and then the fifth book, which I don't own yet because I'm waiting for the paperback, Blackbird Oracle. I need to read all three of these and finish this series up because, girl, I am tired of having this book on my TBR list. It has to go. Next up on this list is going to be The Stars Undying by Emery Robin. And this is a queer sci-fi book. And I am very much intimidated by this book. As you can see, look at the size, and it's also sci-fi. We know that I've been having my issues with wanting to read sci-fi, but being scared to. And so, yeah, I just need to make it happen. I need to read this book. I need to know if I'm going to like it. I just have to make myself do it. In that same vein, I have two books by the same author, and I haven't read from this author yet, but they're both sci-fi books as well. And this is, the author is Timmy O. So I have More Perfect, and this is a sci-fi book written by a Black author, and so I definitely want to try to get into this. Then the other book is Do You Dream of Terra 2? And I just need to make them happen. They've been on my TBR. I've owned them physically for at least 2 years at this point, and I just need to make both of these books happen as well. Last but certainly not least, I want to talk about some books that I really hope and want to reread. And I usually reread some of my favorite books around my birthday, just as like a gift to myself. Like, here's some books that you love. Be happy for this month. And so I have two here that I have been eyeing and wanting to reread so bad. And so I'm hoping that if not in August, then for sure before the end of the year, I will get around to rereading these books. The first one is going to be Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding by Chancia C. Higgins. And I absolutely adore this book. It's one of my all-time favorite books, one of my favorite sapphic books, my favorite black sapphic book. It's like all the categories that this book fits into. It is one of my favorites. And I just need to reread it. Okay. I think about it all the time, and I've only read it one time, and I just need to solidify it as a favorite. I need to remember why I love this book so much. So I'm looking forward to rereading and seeing the love resurface, I guess. And then I have to do a reread of this so I can read the sequel when it comes out and be refreshed and ready to go. And that is Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. I have to get in a reread of this just so I'm fresh on Kiki and Kai's relationship when Sweet Heat comes out this fall. I'm just so excited to be back with Kiki and Kai. This book was a surprise to me when I read it. I thought that I would like it, but I did not think this would be like a 5-star for me. But it's one of my all-time favorite romances, and I'm so excited to be back with this couple. And so, friends, I think that is the end of this mid-year check-in. Let me know what your favorite book of the year is so far, because I need the 5 stars. I need the best books. I need to feel all the good vibes. So let me know what you've been reading so I can, see if I might need to pick it up. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. It is very much greatly appreciated. I hope you have the best day that you possibly can. Remember to take care of yourself, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.